Oh, no sound. Good morning, everyone. So sorry about that. Hope you're all well and doing great. Um, Steve, thanks for letting me know. Appreciate that before I went on for another half hour without knowing that we did not have the sound online. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's well. Market is kind of mixed this morning, kind of mixed and unsure of what to do next. We see that the futures are up pretty well, pretty good after yesterday's meltdown. If we get a sell off today, that would be bad news, right? If the futures open up positive and then we sell off, that will be bad news. We want to kind of figure out what's going on in FX. It's hard to tell right now. The dollar is slightly up, but pretty mixed, right? We're seeing the Japanese yen gain on the dollar this morning, but it also, you can see over here this possible double bottom that was put in. And again, we have this breakout and then retraced, making sure that this broken resistance to see if it now holds as support. And you can see over here, if you extend where my mouse is over there, that's exactly what's holding. This resistance right there is now holding as support. If we resume out of there, I do expect further yen weakness until this breakout fails. I'm assuming it's going to hold. It's just the way I am. Here's a look at it over on the Japanese yen currency index, and you could see this breakdown. Again, we're just testing it right now. So it's a question of, if this is a failed breakout, all right, we'll position accordingly. But until it fails, I'm expecting it's going to hold here. The British pound is the strongest currency going into the session. Yeah, I have the sound on now. I just want to confirm that we do have sound. I hear a couple people saying no sound, but other people saying sound. For sure, I believe we have sound. I'm just going to pause for a second until you guys could confirm that. Test, test. Sounds good on my end. All right, appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Yep. Markets very, very mixed this morning, unsure. Yesterday, New York stepped in and kind of changed things up a little bit. They came in here and they sold dollars. You can see it over here. They were actually buying euros. That's where we saw the biggest move. Interested to see what they do today. You can see since then we have narrowed out. You see these 3 bars in a row. This is since the end of New York, and you see we've kind of gone nowhere. So we are very undecided right now. The first thing to always do is kind of figure out your surroundings and what's going on. We're coming off a big, huge volatile move over the weekend, which we saw during the Asian Open and during London. And now we're kind of just flattening out to see what's next. We have consumer confidence at 10 o'clock a.m. Aside from that, the calendar has low data points. And let's go through the charts and see the story that they are telling. All right. So we'll start over here with the Euro US dollar. All right. I'm going to start over here on the daily time frame just to make sure we have our surroundings. And the first thing that we see, the clearest thing that we see, right? We had this enormous dollar move, and we came down into this support, and so far that support is holding. The dollar, the Euro US dollar looks to be consolidating a little bit right now. You can see today is an inside bar. We're not making a higher high or a lower low. So let's go down to the first 8 hour. Over here, you can see actually we're having trouble making higher highs. At the same time, although we made a lower low during London than Asia, it's still a higher low than this bar over here. So we're consolidating. There's no edge over here right now. You can see that we're consolidating like this. We're just going to wait for a breakout. That could very well be during this session. Let's come down to the 4 hour, take another look at it. There you can see it pretty clear. That's what Euro US dollar traders need to be focused in on and watching. a break to the upside or downside should lead to the next move on the euro US dollar. US dollar, Japanese yen. So again, we have over here, we have the breakout. We have the breakout from the trend line. Price came up into this first area of resistance and then is sold off hard, but it is basing out over here and it's basing out over this new area of support. So you can see the resistance over here is now holding as support right over there. And that's holding the breakout. So if we resume up over here, this move could definitely be extended. Those that are short over here, it was a good trade and you picked the perfect spot as far as where to look for take profits or where to get out of this trade. If you take out this double bottom, then this trade might, obviously come down here and test not this trend line over here, but I think this area of support down over here. And then if the trade continues to move in your favor, I think you have a phenomenal entry on your hand. Although that's not the way I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards this breakout over here, stabilizing and actually us reversing out of it. We'll see. I know a lot of people are looking for that risk off after the acceleration of cases of the coronavirus, especially in Europe now and spreading out throughout northern Italy, South Korea. But I think that was priced into the markets, and unless we start seeing this really escalate further, I think that it's showing signs of being contained actually. So keep in mind, I was one of the first to be quite concerned and alarmed about the situation, monitoring closely, and although I continue to do so, and that goes as far as preparing at home with supplies needed to protect the family if need be. But at the same time, I am hopeful that the situation is going to peak out as we're starting to see, it seems, in China. All right, let's keep going, see what is happening here. So I talked about the pound being the strongest going into the session. New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar continue to be uber weak, and here you see the pound trading at new highs here. You see this high back here back in October. We're coming up and testing it right now. So obviously it's not a place where you want to engage long positions taking the breakout. Obviously you always want to enter it down on the pullbacks, but nevertheless we want to just be aware of everything that's happening around us. The Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar, look, they continue to be fighting it out. You could extend this blue box now. Oh, sorry about that. You could extend this blue box and they continue to maintain within it. Why am I having trouble there? We're in this consolidation zone. I continue monitoring and watching this because I do believe if we break out to the upside over here that we're going to see an extended move, that we're seeing a bottom pattern being put in place. And don't forget, the longer the consolidation, the bigger the move usually is out of it. Want to pause for a second, check back in on Bitcoin. I put out an alert yesterday on Bitcoin on TradingView, sent out through the Telegram. You could see that Bitcoin continues to hold this area of support over here at 94.75. It looks to be weakening. It looks to be having trouble making any progress to the upside. And it looks like there's the possibility that we're going to come in and take out this support over here. I think any move down towards the next support at 9100 is going to be brought up. We might even see a spike below this 9280 level, and somewhere around into 9200 we're going to see that bought up quickly. I think we're going higher on Bitcoin, and currently though this support down here is holding. Did have a trigger if you're looking on the 4 hour to the long side. as well as on the 8-hour time frame over here. But if you look at the daily time frame, it doesn't really look so nice. But again, if you look at the bigger picture, since the move off the low, off 6,500, it's been straight up. And not only that, we're just consolidating now. So this continues to look very, very healthy. I'm looking for Bitcoin to possibly, if it breaks down over here, still hold this level here at 9,100. I think it's going to be bought up pretty quickly. Wilford, good to see you. It's been a while, my friend. Australian dollar, US dollar, Australian dollar coming down right now and testing down near the lows of, so we had the big breakdown over here last week, right? You could see it over here. We've come back in. We have not even come up yet for air. Friday, we had a little bit of a reprieve. And since not right now, we're testing the lows. We could break down much further. There's no question about it. Let's take a look at a monthly chart. There's not much now below us as we're coming down here. You could see we have there's not much below us to help us out over here. Perhaps at 0.6357. We could still be in for a lot of trouble over here, and it makes a lot of sense. Definitely don't want to be a buyer of the Australian dollar, US dollar over here. I think the next play to look for is if you do stabilize, you want to look what happens coming into this area of resistance. This is the first area of resistance. Hold on, let me draw it. Let's look down over here. This is the first area of resistance around 0.66675, and a move into there, we'll give our first look at it and we can see how price reacts. As far as playing the breakdown over here, if we break down to another leg, those are for the traders. And I believe Steve has been all over the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar shorts. Those are for traders who are currently in this trade to be looking for a further extension downwards. If you're not currently in this trade, I would not be taking a play here of the breakdown, because often what happens is breakdowns are false breaks, right? And you get caught off on the wrong side of the trade. It's very dangerous playing breakouts and breakdowns. This is a breakdown over here that played out well. There was no retrace and it worked out. It doesn't always work out that way, right? So take the safer trade. Right now, I think the thing to do is look for a retrace into this pocket or perhaps this pocket. We'll follow it and see where it goes if it comes up and trades up a little bit. But right now, you need to be very short-minded on the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. If you're looking for a rebound against the dollar, it looks like perhaps the euro or the British pound is the place to be. Speaking of, let's take a look at the British pound versus the dollar today. And it's still having trouble working past this resistance here at 1.2992. You could see price during London came up and tested it again. And you could see that this is pretty strong resistance. It's an important level. You could see it, all the touches over here, and then over here where it last held as support, and now it's been holding as resistance. Get back above it, and I definitely think there's room for an extension over here. But right now it's got a little overhead resistance to play with. If the dollar firms up over here and this gets rejected over here, then we could come back down and test this low over here. So we're at a nice point here on the pound US dollar because we're at an important resistance level. And when you come into important support or resistance levels, it's the best place to take a trade. Yeah, we miss having you around too, Wilfred. I hope you're able to follow along on the replays whenever you're able. Gold and silver are obviously very, very bullish. You could see over here. What do we see over here? Let's take a look at this. All right, this trend line over here, the last breakout occurred. We came up, we took out this high of January, making the new high for the year, but quickly sold off. Gold also got knocked off. You saw there was on the paper market, some extraordinary large sells during the New York session yesterday. That looks like that came from the central banks trying to knock that price down a little bit. But we know what's going to happen. It's like pushing a ball underwater. You know, you could try to push it down under the water, but as soon as you let go, that thing is going to pop up. Same thing what's going on with gold and silver. Um, I would not be looking to sell either one of them, even if you have any type of prolonged sell-off, simply because if you look at what's going to happen over the next year or two, we're going to see definitely gold trading at new all-time highs. Silver, I imagine, is going to be trading. I don't know where silver will be. I'm not trying to say that it's going to reach 50 or anything like that. I think that was under some severe manipulation when we were back. Well, listen, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to be, but I do. Well, once we get back above 26, right, it could be pretty straight up really quick. Um, I don't know, but I do know that trading short either one of these doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? If they're both in bull markets, why trade against them? Look to buy off of supports. Look to buy any pullbacks off of supports, and look not to trade around them. Look to take positions into them. See if I missed anything here. If anyone had something they wanted to look at that I did miss, and just taking a quick look. All right, New Zealand dollar, we didn't take a look at. Let's take a look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So very similar situation, almost exact same situation to the Australian dollar, US dollar. Both of them after the breakdown are just consolidating. Now you can see this kind of looks like perhaps a possible bear flag developing. And we have this strong resistance over here. Why below this area? It's extremely bearish. Now the play might be, if this holds right now over here, to look for right along the top of this bear flag to look to get short over here. You know where your risk is limited above this resistance. If the bulls are able to come back and reclaim this area of resistance, all right, then we could trade up, right, and look for another opportunity to short, maybe somewhere around this area over here. But I don't think anyone wants to take any long-term buy positions on the New Zealand dollar. Taking a counter trend trade really does not make any sense either. It's just a question of, you're not short this pair, looking for the place to short it. If you're still short from this area over here, if you got short and you're still holding a short over here, I don't know if you're looking for the next breakdown. I don't know if that's going to occur during this session or right away. But again, just below this area, below this resistance, it's very, very, very bearish and remains so. Now I'm talking about a dollar pair. Let's take a look at the DXY. Now, yesterday during New York came in and they actually sold this down. I think that was buying of euros. Right now, you could see, since that's happened, also the whole market is in a holding pattern right now. You can see that every single pair is almost just undecided. Is that going to change during this session? Well, I hope so, but I don't know. It gives us some pretty clear markers to trade off of, right? And right now we could wait for, you could see also on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, it's that same bear flag. I expect that there's a good chance that the dollar trades lower. Maybe we're going to see after the consumer confidence numbers, that might be the trigger at 10 o'clock a.m. this morning. But I'm hoping and looking for the dollar to trade down lower as a way to position to further dollar upside. Is it possible that doesn't happen and that we trade up from over here? Absolutely. The New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar will lead the way down if that does happen. Again, over here on the Euro US dollar, I'm watching this pattern over here come down to the 4 hour. you get a better look. Even if you make a higher high here, though, you're still within this area of lower lows. We're just consolidating here, getting ready for the next move. All right, Richard, Gabe, let's look at both of them. I also want to figure out what's going on with the euro Swiss franc. I haven't looked at it. Yeah, same exact thing. There's a lot of pressure on this. Right here towards the lows, you don't want to be picking bottoms. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. At the same time, selling down here doesn't make any sense. This pair's on the sidelines. Wait for it to give another clue. Obviously, the possibility exists that this could waterfall break down, but I'm looking, and I think everyone should be looking for this to rise a little bit for the possibility of being able to reestablish a short position. Pound Japanese yen looks pretty healthy. Let's take a look at it. Here we do have, again, the pound is the strongest. I'm looking for a resumption of that yen weakness, that Japanese yen weakness. Here, the pound is leading. This looks very good. I also included this in an alert on the Telegram channels sent out through the trading view yesterday. This along with the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and this looks like it has the possibility here of resuming towards the upper side and taking another look at 144.32. Don't forget, the pound is also at that critical area of resistance against the dollar. So that's also going to have an effect here. If it breaks out to the upside, there's going to be much more momentum here with the pound. Pound looks very healthy. Euro and pound look like they could lead today. The pound is leading, the euro right behind, and the euro could pick up some steam during this session. Just another look at the pound US dollar so you could see what I was talking about. You could see this resistance over here. So if we are rejected, obviously that could weigh on the pound Japanese yen. But if we take another look and break above, we're going to have a lot more momentum. Pound Japanese yen looks pretty strong. Here's the Canadian dollar Japanese yen also. You could see that yesterday we came back down and we tested this area of support. I put a price point of 82.73. If price stays above there, that would be my stop loss would be if this triggers to the upside. You could see the support is still holding. The low was taken out, and see this big pin over here on this bar, and you could see the big wick, excuse me, and you could see that price bounced off it. If you start making highs out of here, I think that the Canadian dollar and the British pound against the Japanese yen are the two to play outside of it. Oil is so first of all, this is marked green, but that's not really green. That's just the closest local high. So that should be marked as yellow. Oil came into that area yesterday and was rejected by it, but is now holding this area of support. So this looks like it's stabilizing. I know that OPEC is set to meet in March. I expect between the OPEC meeting in March that oil maintains this support and this resistance, that it actually trades in a narrow range within there. That should help the Canadian dollar as far as not putting further pressure on the Canadian dollar. That's why I was expecting here if the Canadian dollar resumes out of this against the Japanese yen and we see that Japanese yen weakness, that we are coming up here to at least take a look also at this resistance up here at 84.21. Let me mark that correctly. Let me mark this correctly. Let me get my house in order. That way, any of you who are looking at it are going to get a clearer picture of what's going on. But this both looks good. The Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and the British pound, Japanese yen, both look pretty solid. Here you can see the pound yen picking up over here a little bit. There you go. Just wanted to get up to speed with all of you. What else are we seeing? Now, listen, some of you guys who are very short time minded traders, of course, if you guys want to take positions on gold and silver and follow the momentum, I'm all about that. That's not the type of trading I do. I'm looking for swing trades, and I'm looking for position trades. So, of course, it was expected to see gold came up a lot higher, first of all, on silver than I expected. I expected them to get caught right around the level they're trading right now, around 1649. Gold came up another $40 past that. So that was higher than expected. Right now, it's just consolidating. I'm waiting for that next move. If someone is trading intraday and they're following the momentum, get on you for sure. I support that 100%. The thing is, it's just much harder to make money scalping and taking trades like that. It's much harder. And what I want to do is I want to guide everyone. First of all, my main purpose here is to improve everybody's trading. Number one. Number two is to do that in this positive and supportive community that we have. I like trading with a bunch of people that are like-minded, and everyone providing support and insight. It's a good place to be. So I'm not. Everyone's free to do as they wish and please. That's the whole market. That's the point. But nevertheless, I want to try to help benefit anyone wherever possible. And whatever principles that I do share or impart on you, that could be used on any time frame. All right. Yeah, I do think that I think, or I should say, I think that the consumer confidence could affect the next move of the dollar and therefore the euro. For sure, I believe that. Only because I've seen so many times. Right now, we have the U.S. equities opening, and the markets are actually trading up on this. Now up 0.5%. The futures at the highest all night. Pretty good sign. Donald Trump yesterday tweeted that this looked like a good place to buy the stock market yesterday, and he knows the markets pretty well. Not only that, he also knows what's going on as far as information that none of us have as well. Of course. Now, there's no doubt about it. Don't get caught thinking otherwise. His only goal, his goal, is to get reelected, right? And he'll do whatever he can to support the markets, even if that's just a verbal tweet saying that he believes that it's a good place to buy, or something like he believes that by April the coronavirus situation should diminish. Um, that's a risky move. I don't think he's going to come out and say that if he doesn't believe it, because that could really backfire. That could cost him the election. If things escalate inside the United States really bad, and he's telling everyone things should be fine, well, that has the potential of backfiring on him pretty well. I do think the consumer confidence could be a catalyst. I've seen it be a catalyst often, and well, it's hard for me to say. I don't know if the number is going to come in. Consumer confidence is extremely high. It's also a lagging indicator. It's not until after the economy is in recession does that indicator start coming off. Nevertheless, the market could just use it as an excuse, is what I think would happen. You don't even have to worry about what the print is. If you watch what I do when prints come out, I'm never watching the print itself. I'm first watching the market, then I know what the print was, and then I go back and check what the number was. But just keep it simple over here, right? You're looking at the 8-hour. We're making inside bars. You have this bar. Yeah, I'll look at a 12-hour. It's going to actually price it in much better. Nope, doesn't. Well, I'm pretty sure you all could see it. We have these series of lower highs and higher lows. Uh, Waiting for a break of that pattern is most likely going to lead to the next move on this pair. Maybe, Dominic. For sure, him and Muchin got something going on with all their offshore accounts, right? Market's still a little bit undecided. It's still a little bit undecided. We may stay that way um, through 10 o'clock Eastern time, which is about another half hour away. Um, equity markets are jumpy on the open. Tesla maintaining, holding out pretty well. Uh, I think when we talk about risk on, risk off, we definitely saw that big move on Monday, yesterday, in the Japanese yen, and rightfully so because of what had happened um, with the escalation of the coronavirus overseas. Now, or was it technical, right? Because we did come up. Let me draw the. I don't know why this keeps removing off my chart, but it does. You could see that right over here, this resistance right over here. This is the resistance that I know Blair and Heath were really marked right on, and they sold that top over there. But either way, price broke out, came into the resistance, and then came off. That's just normal behavior. That's normal behavior. If this is a failed breakout and we get back down in, then we could see much lower lows, and there'll be a lot of momentum and a lot of traders caught on the wrong side of this trade. But until that happens, this is nothing more in my mind than a breakout, a retest, and now I'm looking for the resumption. Look, just to refresh your memory, here's the last time that happened on the DXY. You had the breakout, retrace, and then boom. And then also, where else could you see that play out really well? Here it is on gold, breakout, retrace, consolidated, boom. So I want to show you a failed attempt of that where that happens and then it gets rejected, and then you can see, and that's on the Australian dollar, US dollar. And here we had the breakout, the retrace, it tried to resume, rejected back into the pattern, and then boom, falls to the downside. So there's some good looks at ones that were successful and ones that were failures. And until it's a failure, I assume it's going to be a success. But if it fails over here and we do break down, yeah, then I think we could see some much further Japanese yen strength. That's the story there. There we go. Bitcoin is falling, breaking below the area of interest that we were looking. Let's see if we get some wicks here, and this is bought up. I'm looking for it to be bought up at least by 9,200. You got wrecked. How's it going? Everything's pretty quiet right now. Again, markets definitely are just consolidating a little bit after that shell shock of moves or after the weekend, trying to figure out what's going on next. Pound is at that very important area of interest, something that I'm keeping my eye on, and also watching the British pound. Here it is coming up, taking another look at it right over here. If it breaks through, I think that's going to add further momentum to all pound pairs, especially the pound Japanese yen. Let's take a look at some cross pairs. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Oh, the Euro Swiss franc. Look at that. It just can't even catch a break. Right up into the first area of resistance and rejected hard. Wow. I don't have a read on anything else at all. I think the best patterns to be watching right now are the euro US dollar as it's coming to a point of inflection, right? I think we might get a clear signal soon on it on where the next move is going to be. I like the pound Japanese yen over here to the upside, but I'm watching the pound US dollar at the same time to see if it's rejected at that resistance, which would then weigh on this pair. Yeah, of course, Vicky. I think so. The pound Australian dollar, pound New Zealand dollar, it's hard to get a position in them up here because look how far up we're trading. Let me pull back to the daily. I mean, New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar look very, very poor shape versus everyone. And if this is a breakout over here to the upside right now, and we see the pound, I mean the New Zealand dollar break down versus the dollar, they have a lot of room to go. I just can't, I can't chase it up here, right? I'm not long this pair. There's no way I would short this pair. There's no way I would short this pair no matter what. And that's hard. It's difficult right now. It's just getting away to get into a position. How are you looking at it, Vicky? I'm gonna put that up. Yeah, the euro Swiss franc is in a similar situation. It's breaking down here to new lows. There's a lot of pressure on it. You could see right now. Look at this coming back down, testing yesterday's low. People, as soon as it came into that first local resistance, sold it hard yesterday. I didn't think the Swiss franc was that strong today, but looking around, I'm seeing it's stronger versus the Australian dollar, stronger than the euro. It's stronger than the dollar. So there's definitely a bid so far. The only thing outperforming the Swiss franc is the British pound. New Zealand dollar also getting wrecked versus the Swiss franc. I mean, it looks to me that for sure this could continue extending. I could see the closest resistance still a ways, right? And you know, of course, then you have to factor in what's going to happen with the UK. But longer term here, we might see much higher prices on the pound New Zealand dollar. I just don't want to chase it right now. Don't get me wrong. I wish I was positioned in it. And we definitely had our opportunities. If you could invert this chart, I don't know if you can invert charts here on trading view. I could just do New Zealand dollar, British pound. You could see flip-flopping it looks so clearly like it's breaking down. Not only that, we had our chance, or I had my chance. I didn't see it as we pulled back into that resistance, right? As the resistance held, that was the time to take the short. The time is not to take the short right now, and it does look like that there's a solid chance the breakdown is going to continue over here. But this was the area to look for. And so what does that mean? Well, If we do break out and the breakout holds, then we can look for any retest to get back in. I just do not trace the breakout. Daniel, so it's a really good question, but so the thing is so first of all, you need to trade off the higher time frames. The way that I do it, and I don't do it because I don't have the time. If I if trading off the 30-minute time frame was the easiest way to make money in the markets, I would be doing it. It's very difficult though. It's extraordinarily difficult to be staring at 30-minute charts and look at how choppy it is, and it's very difficult actually. But if that's what was required, even if it was staring at 5-minute charts for hours at a time, then I would do it. There's no question about it. But the thing is, it's much easier doing your analysis off the daily time frame to figure out the bigger picture, to add your support levels in, your resistance levels in, your channels, your trend lines, and then trade around that. And then the easiest thing to do is trade on the 8-hour time frame. The 8-hour time frame, and I do recommend, because I put a video out on it about why the 8-hour time frame, I just put it out this weekend, is the best time frame to trade. I'm going to put the link in there for you. And by doing your analysis off the daily, dropping down to the 8-hour to look for entry signals, for me that only comes during London or New York. It actually doesn't take more than let's say, let's be honest and serious. If someone was devoting an hour a day uh, as they're learning, that's going to add up. That's really about all that's probably required on a daily basis. That's not doing your homework. That's not doing your research. That's not continuing to learn everything you can about trading in the markets. That's on a daily basis of doing your analysis and figuring out what you're watching, where you're looking to trade, and focusing in on that. But an hour a day, that's a lot of good quality time and would be all that you need. I think then after you became proficient in that, you could bring that down to probably be about 20 minutes a day, maybe even 30 minutes a day. I do think the more time you spend, the better though. But this could absolutely be done with anyone working a full-time job. And as a matter of fact, I think that's the way to do it. You're going to have a much better chance of success if you have that source of income until you are at, and then there's no way you're going to be looking to replace that income through trading alone, because you're going to realize that the best thing you can do is have that source of income and then look to build your wealth through trading. It's that compounding over time that is really going to lead to wealth. And if you have that income, which is paying all your expenses, you're not going to want to give it up, right? Because if you can make, whether it's 10, 15, 25% a year trading, it's that time, right? That's 15 years, 20 years before that becomes something substantial. But who's got a better retirement plan? Want to jump back in here to get a feel for what's going on. I'm going to start with the euro US dollar. or rather the DXY. Again, is so undecided, and you can see over here, we're just kind of in no man's land. Between the last 24 hours, we're in a very tight range, and it doesn't look like it's ready to break one way or the other yet. Let's see if that consumer confidence is the trigger in about 12 minutes. All right, you could see undecided about what the next move is. I want to check back in on the pound, who's flirting and still continues to flirt here with this resistance area over here. You could see that there's a definite bid under the pound, and then also pound Japanese yen coming off a little bit. And what does that mean on the US dollar Japanese yen? Let me follow up there. That also coming back down, taking a look at this area over here where we had two touches. Daniel, that's that's very short. I don't know if that's like 5 minutes or so, but that's going to give my reasoning on why the 8-hour time frame is the time frame that you should be focusing in on. So we got a big group in here today. We got 50 people. I know that's not a lot for a lot of YouTube live streams, but for me, this is a good group of people. It's one that we could kind of be kind of more or less intimate with and have that relationship with, and that's what's appreciated. Anyone who's looking to put in the time, I'm happy to do my best to help and work with. 10 minutes now. I'm hoping that that data print will lead to the next move on the dollar. Markets, again, I know I said it before, they're just very undecided, digesting yesterday's big move. I talked about the markets, if they close down after opening up higher, that would be pretty bad. They still have not taken out yesterday's low. If they do, I expect some further selling. I do appreciate that, Vicky, because that's right. That does help the Google algorithm actually show this to other people, letting them know that they appreciate what's going on in here. And it also lets me know that you guys appreciate what we do in here too. So I like that. And thanks for pointing that out. So in my mind, I'm expecting here. Let me show you on the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. I'm expecting this, and let me pull out to a daily time frame. I'm expecting that this breakout over here holds. This is the retrace of the breakout, right? And this is getting into a beautiful area over here to look to go for a long. Now, it's a bit of a conundrum for me because that would just mean for me that Japanese yen needs to weaken more than the US dollar, because at the same time, I'm looking for a further pullback in the dollar. As the dollar has come off so high and hard, I'm looking for it to pull back ideally into this area over here. This would be, let me fix that a little bit. It's twice today. I had an issue with that. Gotta step up my game here, figure out what's going on. Now, if we get a pullback into that blue box area, that's an area that would also mean on the euro US dollar that we're trading up into here. And this is a strong area of support that broke. That should be strong resistance. I know that I would be looking to really get short here, the euro, if that was the case. I don't know that that's going to happen. That's what I'm hoping is happening, that we come back down into here. The reason I point that out is because that would mean if the US dollar continues to weaken, that if the Japanese yen would just have to be weaker. Now, I know a lot of people, rightfully so, are seeing risk off in the markets. Of course, that's what we're seeing. But whether or not that continues or not, that's another question. I'm looking, because of what's happening technically. I'm a technician. I always trade what's happening on the charts. I see the breakout. I see the retrace. Now is when I look to resume upwards. If we do fail, if I'm wrong on the trade and we fail, well, then that's a pretty strong signal that we might be going much lower actually. Oil looks so it looks pretty good. It looks like it's stabilizing around this area of support over here. Now, obviously, last week it got rejected hard into that resistance. We saw that big risk off yesterday that weighed on oil. But there's an OPEC meeting coming up in just a couple of weeks, and I think there's a good chance that oil, until that meeting, the resolution of that meeting, is going to maintain between this area of resistance and down over here, this area of support, at least not break down as it just consolidates, waiting to see what happens. So I think oil right now is entering a period of consolidation, and that's my view. That's a record for us. I believe 62 people in here is definitely nice. And all that means is just more like every once in a while, someone just comes and they start learning a bunch and they start sticking around. And then all of a sudden they start adding all this insight, and it just helps, everyone overall. So we have about 5 minutes now here. I'm watching what happens here on the euro US dollar. We have about 5 minutes into the consumer confidence numbers. And again, this is a lagging indicator, but often it's just a time of day after the print that the market will take a turn or make a move. So that's the only reason I'm watching it. I know that by the time this number starts coming down for real, it's going to be because of we're already in recession. But it would be interesting to see how the U.S. Consumer is reacting to the whole coronavirus situation, and to see if it's having any type of effect on them yet. While we're waiting, Bitcoin, let's follow what it's doing intraday. Let me jump down to a lower time frame, and we're spiking below this area of support. That's what we were looking for as we started this live stream. But I do think it's going to get brought up over here. I think it's going to get brought up quickly, and then I think we're going to start seeing a higher move on Bitcoin. Now, there is the possibility we trade down all the way towards the low of this support down here at 91, but I personally am not leaning towards that happening. You got wrecked. Let me go ahead and forward that. Appreciate you sharing that in here. And let's see. Euro seems to be trading down north towards the lows here. I'm going to draw in this for you so you can see. The pattern that we're watching here of lower highs and higher lows, and we're coming towards the bottom. If the euro loses this area over here, I think it's around 1.083. Um, at at that point, we could start seeing the sellers regaining control. Actually, it'd be right below this area over here too. You could see it. You could see what was support. We broke down. We're above it. If we break down below that level again, the sellers might have the opportunity to come in and test down over here. Jackie, Riyadh, great to see you both. Um, let's definitely take a look at the US dollar, Swiss franc. Let me keep this up over here though, so I could come back to those little notes in just 1 second. And US dollar, Swiss franc, seeing that strong Swiss franc today up until New York, and then you're seeing now, let me go down to a low time frame. Over that last hour, this area of support is holding and the dollar is coming back, making some gains off of the lows. But overall over here, This doesn't look so positive for the dollar. I think the dollar has to get above this 98.53 level in order for me to really be looking to take a position to the long side. Otherwise, I favor the short side. And that would also mean that the dollar has resumed its breakout to the upside, which right now it's still just consolidating. Right? But if the dollar starts making new highs, if it breaks above 100 and starts picking up momentum, at that point, against the US dollar, Swiss franc, we would be trading above that resistance. Let me pull back to it right now for you. We were trading above this resistance, and then I think that there could be future gains in store for it. But right now, that Swiss franc continues to be strong, and this favors still the downside over here. Reb, that's great to hear. Absolutely. Anything we could do to support you, you know that we're here. So let's see. You got wrecked. Pointed out that we had a lot of options expiring, and let's see what the move is after that. Or not move. It's a little like watching paint dry right here, right now. It is what it is. Markets, by the way, have now traded back down to break even and now are up 0.25%. It's pretty bullish. Figure out what that print was now. Yeah, I mean, it's still so high. 130 is such a high print. Look at this. If I could pull up the chart, they don't have the graph. I would like to have pulled up the graph for you to show, but historically, 130 is just so enormously high that coming off a little bit, I guess, is meaningless. Probably the options had a lot more to do with what's going on right now, but it appears that the euro is making in some gains right here. And it's not just the euro, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, they're both actually a little bit bid right now as well. And so let's see right here on the pound US dollar, if she's able to regain this resistance over here, that would actually be pretty bullish for the pound. And we might see some further gains if we're able to regain this important resistance level. Let me turn this over now to support. I think the most important thing that everyone should be working on is spending that extra time doing their analysis instead of rushing to put on a trade. The worst thing that you can do is just rush to put on a trade. There's zero reason to do that. But by spending that time and looking at the charts, doing that analysis, getting a feel for not only the currency pair you're trading, but the market overall, then focusing in on your levels, finding out where the support and the resistance levels are, the trend lines, and trading around them by exercising that patience and that control is really going to improve everyone's trading. Still not much of a direction, and that's fine. Let's see what develops throughout the next hour over here. Everything, even the US equities, they're kind of figuring out what to do, what's next. It's as if the market's just waiting for its next clue. And that's really important to be able to assess. It's really important to be able to know what's going on around you. I feel like I'm in the holder pattern with the market. I'm curious what's happening with our US dollar, Japanese yen. Yen continuing to be firm. Bill boy, I'm not. If you haven't seen this video, hold on one second. Bear with me 1 minute, please. This is a recent video, so you just go into uploads. You'll see it right here. This one says how to spot entries in Forex. It's a good video, that's for sure. I'm not exactly sure. Watch this video first, Bill Boy, then get back to me. Comment on that video with any questions you have, and then I'll take it further from there with you. I'm gonna just jump in over here on the Euro Australian dollar only because I see that the Australian dollar is bouncing a little bit here. The euro is lagging a little bit. I see that we're into that resistance. I should probably have that resistance drawn in on the chart just because that's where we're trading at or near. It's hard for me to see it actually. That's why I don't have it drawn in there. It's more of a blue box. Everything is undecided, so I don't really want to read too much into a move here right now. You can see that the market's not moving. It's hard to trade markets that are not moving. And one of the most important skills that you could do is figure out what's going on. Are we in a trend day? Are we in a choppy day? Is the market consolidating? And guess what? Yesterday we had this huge moves, right? Since the weekend open, Asia and London were explosive. New York retraced those moves a little bit, and since then we've been consolidating. There's really little edge right now as far as looking to initiate a new position. It's more of watching what is next. You could see it, right? Everyone could see the market's very still. Even the US, here's the consolidation. You can see it here on, this is the S&P. Now I'm going to show you on gold. You can see the market's consolidating right now, right? Let's check out the DXY. Consolidating. Consolidating. All right. So now, generally speaking, we still have a couple hours left in this session where we could see price action pick up, where we could see moves extend out of this. That's for sure. If that doesn't happen, odds are that it won't be until London. However, we do get reports usually late in the day as far as coronavirus cases and updates. And at any point, if we see any type of escalation, that could really be a trigger. So it's, we do have that hanging over our heads right now. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a clear look at it. All right, we're on the 4 hour. And I mean, you see this red line over here, that's actually support because we're trading above it, right? You can see that was resistance. So that's pretty bullish. This was the huge move we saw down on that risk off, and now price is stabilized above it. The pound is strong today. So if you're looking to attack the yen to the downside, then you probably want to focus on things like the New Zealand dollar or the Australian dollar. Although see, that's tricky too. They look like, unless they break down to another leg, they look like they're stabilizing. I have to say that I am more bullish or bearish on the Japanese yen. I know you guys saw this big move yesterday, but don't forget the big breakout, right? And now we're just stabilizing above this area of support. So if you want to get short here, if you think we're turning, you focused on the 1 hour. I think that you got to come down and trade below this area, right? You got to make the leg down. This is the area of consolidation, right? Move up, consolidating, right? So if you draw in a couple of little lines here to make your life easier. Got one to the downside, one to the upside. We're really consolidating between there, right? Above that area, see, this is the resistance. We're kind of above that. You can see that this is higher than this area right here. So it's like the market. It's definitely undecided. So to answer that question, Hanero, I don't want to give the context of. I'll do this really quick because you'll be able to get it. I mean, for me, this is a breakout of the trend line, a retrace, and that we resume upwards. Now, also here on the Japanese yen index, right? Here's the breakdown, retrace. I'm looking for us to resume this way, right? I want to show you. Here was the breakout, the retrace, and then the resumption. Now, I want to show you one that failed because that was successful. Here we had the breakout, the retrace. We tried to resume. It was rejected. We failed back into the trend line and have come back down hard. Could that happen right now on the yen? 100%. I'm I'm not expecting that's going to happen. I'm looking for that to happen on the end, right? So I'm looking for the retrace, but if we fail back down into the trend line, then we could be coming down much lower. That's what I'll be looking for. A false break could give that fuel to the downside. So coming back up, to answer your question, whether or not I think that, first of all, we're still consolidating, right? And even that big move to the upside only went down to halfway, right? So this remains quite bullish looking to me overall, taking a step back. Um, and that's just the only way I see it. Right, the momentum over the last since Monday opening is bearish. And here's that bearish move, right? But now we traded up and we're just consolidating. You know, rather than trying to just think if you're going to have the next move be up or down, well, if you break down, then you have a clear look at it, right? As well as if you break up, because right now you're consolidating. I don't where I lean and towards the edge again, which is I just laid out, is that we had a breakout on the Japanese yen, and I think that move is going to continue. If that breakout fails, then at that point I would be bearish on the Japanese yen. So far, markets are still decidedly undecided. Decidedly undecided. That's the best way to describe them right now. And that's why, as we just looked at the consolidation going on the pound Japanese yen, that's why, as we see it here on the euro US dollar, the best thing to do then is get off the lower time frame, start coming up a little bit, and wait for that clarity of the breakout. There's no need to take a position before the breakout. So if you're just joining us, first of all, definitely please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Check us out for a few days. I really think that it will be very apparent to you. It'll be very clear. It's a good place for you to be. It's a good place to learn. It's very straightforward. There's, with very, very, very prudent and helpful insight. I've never known anyone who spent time in here with us has not taken away a lot of things to help improve their trading. What are you guys looking at? A breakdown here again. We're coming beautiful. Those who have especially been holding since over here. Nice quick trading, MHB. 30 pips is nothing to sneeze at. That's a nice trade. See the dollar coming off, the pound is taking advantage of that, huh? There it is. She wants to take it out. And if she's taking it out, for sure, the next stop is up here. You could see this. Look at my mouse. You could see the resistance all the way across. I'll just extend that. That's where she should bounce to, at least. Oh, I think I was muted. I'm definitely unmuted now, though. Let me take a look at that right now because I don't think you all heard me. But this is a good look. This is exactly the pattern we're seeing on the euro US dollar here on the pound US dollar, same time frame, 4 hour. And if we break above that little bit of resistance there and at the same time break out that triangle, that's going to add some big fuel to the fire. That's for sure. At the same time, if we reject off that resistance, you could use this bottom guide as the place to wait until get short. So this is a really helpful pattern. It really gives a really useful edge. Well, Samantha, if it says offline, but we're here together, it's all good. Maybe new people can't join us, but that doesn't matter. We're here together. So we got to see the dollar coming off a little bit now. We could definitely see it. You could see that weighing here because the yen is definitely stronger, but we're getting down to an area of pretty big importance. I don't have it really as the trend line, although it could be. I'm more focused in on down here at 109 at 71. That's the area that I'm focused in on. I'll watch both of them. If we get below 109.71, I become a yen bull. That's for sure. But not until that happens. I think that the pound Japanese yen might have got smoked. So let me check it out. It's breaking down out of that pattern we were looking at over there. So you were right on, Reb, in what you were looking for. But let's see. I mean, it's not a breakdown yet. You could see. Just watch my mouse. You could see where the support is, right? You could see that's where she's into. So let's see. I would have to say the Japanese yen is at a pretty important level all around. But you're seeing that the dollar being sold. So yeah, I think it's the connection issues from my end. It's kind of it's really exciting actually the point that the pound is at right now. Euro is coming out. It's still got to work to do to break out of this pattern. It's testing the upside now though, and there does seem to be some momentum here on the dollar, right? You can see here it's coming down, testing the bottom here as well. It's 2 days in a row. New York has come in and actually sold the dollar. Um, if you remember on that way up, they kept coming in and buying the dollar. It was New York who kept coming in buying. It seems right now that maybe they're doing the opposite. This is definitely a place of interest on the US dollar, Japanese yen. Yeah, I mean, sure, we could take a look at gold. My view on gold is and remains very bullish. And I think right now, although the last, this was the last consolidation period, here was the next leg up. So I think we've entered a new consolidation period over here. Uh, I don't see, of course, there are short-term traders who like to, if you're trading short term, there's no problem taking gold either way to the upside or downside. I think gold is in a multi-year bull market. I think it's going to go on to reach not only new highs, but it's going to smoke the past all-time highs. And I think that any type of chance you get for a pullback into support on gold or wait for a consolidation period and then a breakout is what you need to do on gold. Gold right here after this last move up looks to me like it's consolidating and has entered a period now where it should be consolidating before it decides on the next move up or down. Again, this is the area of interest over here for the Japanese yen. Pound has bid on it all day today. Looks like it took out this resistance level over here. Of course, we need to have a close on the daily to confirm that, but dollar looking pretty weak here. I, I wouldn't be trading against the pound here today. The momentum is not there. If you're waiting for any type of rejection or failed break, all right, then Hanero pointed out a pretty good guide here. But it looks to me right now that we have maybe broken to the upside here outside of this pattern. Let's see if we get some follow through. If you're waiting to short this, instead of trying to be a hero, wait for a rejection of this resistance right here, and then wait for price to come outside of that lower trend line over here to the downside. Then you'll have some other traders come in there with you and help you out. But we're seeing some follow through there for sure. On the pound, it looks like the Australian dollar is looking to hold this little area of a bottom. I don't think this is Australian dollar strength. I think this is just a little bit of dollar weakness, and that's all it is a little bit of dollar weakness. But the dollar gets the same pattern here on the dollar, right? So let's just make this easy on ourselves by just putting in a little trend line up here, right? And as long as we're below that line, then we're just a little bit bearish the dollar. Once we cross back above that line, it looks like the dollar might be resuming out. Ideally, we see lower levels on the dollar. Ideally, we come back down not only into this area of this should be support, but the blue box area would be the area of real interest that we'd want to see. Yeah, let's take a look at the Euro CAD. Definitely. So as an interesting exercise anyway, anyone who listen, always be learning, right? Like the whole in life as a human being, right? Whether you're a husband or a wife, a brother, sister, you know, uh, son, daughter, you're always looking to grow and improve and be better. And absolutely the same in any craft and trading. Absolutely, always. If you don't have that mindset or that you could always look to improve and learn, then trading is not for you, because unless you are not only actively learning to better yourself and become a better trader, you have absolutely no chance. If anyone comes across from time to time something that's really clicked for them and became clear, do share it with the group. It's really important, because if you learn any new lesson, something that is really helping you see the market in a different light, share that with others. Other people could benefit from it. The euro Canadian dollar looks to me like it is coming into this area of resistance over here. Now, I'm looking here on the 8 hour, and you could see that, right? Let me zoom in here a little bit. Let me get rid of this distraction. All right, this is a big area of resistance. Yes. Is this the line, the perfect place to have it? No. Is that better? Yeah. Why? You see the peak of the wick came down to here, right around there, and then up to here. Look, this is not a science. You have a much better job doing this in this situation. There you go. This is an area of resistance. Right now, we're being rejected off of it, right? So, and not only that, I got a signal here where price made a lower low during London. So if you're short here and you have your stop above here, you're positioned perfectly, right? If you have your stop right above, you don't want to be too precise with your stop losses. You'd want this a little bit higher. You know, better to trade smaller with stops just a little bit further away from that closest resistance and support. You'll see your profitability improve. Now, you should be short here right now. If if this fails, if you get the resumption and you start making higher highs here, okay, that's an important level. And above it, you could be bullish. I like levels like this because they let you know right away if you're wrong or right, and you can play both sides. And this is a big level here, right? Right now, we're below it, rejecting. You want to be definitely leaning to the bearish side. However, if she's able to recover this level, that quickly she also becomes bullish. Nice, and we got that on the already from the link you sent me. Let's see if we're getting some follow through on that pound, US dollar. She's holding up well. All right, so we're still consolidating. We're still consolidating. Yeah, you could have a home run on your hands if that happens. If the US dollar gets below 109.7, you might have a home run on your hands. Oh no, I think you gotta definitely trust your instinct. And if you feel like you missed the entry, there's no question about it. You don't chase it. Right? That's the most important thing there, Wilford. You got to trust yourself. What are we looking at? The EuroCAD, right? If you missed your entry, you don't chase after it. And besides that, you may get another chance at it. As long as this resistance continues to hold over here, if price trades up and then makes another low, then you have another opportunity at shorting it. If price keeps coming up now and never makes the lower low, all right, then you don't have to worry about it. And if price keeps coming down, well, that's okay. You did the right thing by not chasing after price. Reb, have a good one. Congratulations. Great to hear that. So happy to hear that. Samantha, JR, what, when you talk about the blah, 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 we should keep in mind that the Friday close is the monthly candle close. What pair are you looking at? I want to get on the same page right now with you and pull that up. I don't know if you guys could hear me or not. Samantha, obviously it doesn't matter the pair as far as the monthly close being of importance. I'm interested in which pair you're actually looking at though, because I want to pull it up and look at it on the monthly. But of course, that the monthly close is going to affect how a lot of traders position themselves and view the market. I think the dollar follow through right now is she's close to breaking down to the next leg here. Um, anyone who's looking at the pound US dollar or any dollar pair for that matter, let's take a look at the US dollar. Swiss franc earlier today, the Swiss franc was definitely leading in strength, and it looks like she's breaking down versus that support right there right now. Yeah, I like the momentum here also to the downside right here, and that continues. And then you have this resistance level right above, so you know where you need to where you need to get out. But right now, dollar's weakening a little bit. Swiss franc's been strong all session, and that looks good. You're seeing the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen bounce a little bit, but we're coming into that area of interest is all. Things are still pretty overall mixed. I didn't notice, but if you do notice, the indices are now down a 0.5%. That's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, for sure. Without question, Samantha, without question. I have actually the line that I'm looking on the US dollar Japanese yen is the 109.71. The support. This is the support area. If you remember going back all actual lows, right? And then I had the support line at 109.70. So if you want to play it safe and you put it at 109.60, as long as we hold that support level, then I remain bullish on this breakout. Of course, holding the trend line is more bullish, but I would not get. I will turn a Japanese yen bull if we take out that 109.7 line. Thanks, Rob. I am leaning towards definitely the bearish side here to the US dollar Swiss franc. US dollar is, and look, I mean, clearly, Wilfred, look at this strong support that was broken. Price came back above it, and now we're trading below it. Definitely the momentum here is against the dollar, and the Swiss franc is bid. I'm waiting and have been waiting until we get above this area over here to become looking to be bullish on the US dollar against the Swiss franc. To me, that will mean that the US dollar has resumed out of this pullback that it's currently in and could be breaking above 100. And, we could be seeing some really big dollar moves. No, you've not even been bullish. You've been nailing it. You and Heath right here is where you got bullish, right? Right over here. You guys are all over it. Someone passed an article to us this morning. Let's pull it up. Blair. It happened to be this great guy named Blair who passed this article on to us about why the yen is set to weaken as it shakens its. So this is the reason I bring this up right now, is because I am glad that you are bullish on the Japanese yen, yet at the same time are questioning your thesis and weighing it, because that's exactly what I do. Whenever I take on a trade, I'm looking at the other end of it. I'm always looking at the other end, or why my view could be wrong. So that's awesome. Even I'm so happy that you're bullish the yen, while looking at the possible reasons why that you should be bearish on the yen. So I'll include this link if anyone wants to take a look at it. So is the British pound following here to the upside, as the pound is also, yep, as the euro is coming up here, the pound looks to be extending, dollar looks to be extending its losses, and then you have here the pound US dollar battling it out. Wow, pound's really coming in. The yen's coming really in strong down versus the pound, versus the dollar. Excuse me. How long we've been live streaming? Well, what's clearly apparent is that you're seeing dollar weakness right now. Check the other yen pairs to see, and it looks like the yen is stronger than everything. I can't find the pound. There it is. The pound's barely up. I say the yen is stronger than everything right now. Yeah, Coco, it's really getting wasted right now. I see the euro is breaking out to the upside though versus the dollar. Not then yesterday's highs, but it's broken out of that pattern, of that 4 hour pattern. Let's take a look at it. Let me drop down to the pound, Japanese yen. And for sure, it's a combination of dollar weakness and yen strength. Yen is stronger than every other pair that I'm looking at. The pound was the only one that was up in the day. It's still barely up. The euro testing yesterday's highs. Oh, Heath, that's not fun. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the euro is one, two, three. But did you see it? This is where the yen strength is coming in, I guess. Look at this. Markets are now down over another percent. Ooh. For the record, I remain bearish on the Japanese yen until we take out the level. Coco, you were short on the pound US dollar? Nice to get out of that trade then, because obviously things are changing there, taking out that resistance. It's got a lot of momentum. Nice trading. Speaking of DJ, oil is now coming in, taking out yesterday's levels. Wow, I didn't think it would break below that support. Interesting. I'm interested to see with the US dollar week and oil week what the US dollar and the Canadian dollar are doing. Canadian dollar is gaining slightly, but that doesn't look so healthy. There's a question about this. Oh. I seem to have. Huh. Before I make a change, let me check that one more time. There you go. Perfect. Not, blah, 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 blah. 36 pips. First of all, Blair, I like that. And one of the best things that I do definitely see about your ability is that you get out of trades before they get away from you, giving up that profit. So superb trading. Now, so I'm assuming you got first short here, somewhere around here, and then maybe you sold out on this retrace over here, and then reposition yourself in and took another 36 pips. Great trading. I hope that I had nothing to do with talking you out of your trade, because well, I'm expecting this to hold here unless it doesn't. But I'm neutral either way, right? So I hope I didn't talk you out of your trade, but nevertheless, great trading. Turned out to be quite an active and exciting session after we saw that volatility first going nowhere. Markets now look to be extending a little further. The dollar continues to have pressure on it. I'm looking for further gains here on the euro. Australian dollar also looking to finally put in a local low, maybe come back and test this over here. New Zealand dollar is lagging behind a little bit, but getting above that little area. Both trying to finally get a little bit of a retrace after the brutal punishment they've been under. I think Coco was right. I think it was just stops that were taken out here on the British pound Japanese yen. You could see this trying to push higher. There you go. To school for school. Blair just said he uses the ATR, average daily. Check out the ATR, average true range. That's the best volatility indicator that there is. You can see I have it pulled up on this. Oh no, that chart is there. It is on this chart over here. You can see this is the ATR, and this gives the average daily range. So you see that when price is contracting and then expanding. When price is expanding, you go ahead and you move out your take profits and your stop losses and give it that extra room. And then when price is contracting, same thing, you know, volatility is decreasing. So you go ahead and you're taking in your take profits and your stop losses, adjusting accordingly to how the market's moving. You can see here as the range expands, here you go, you see the ATR growing. Bitcoin, there you go. MHB trading down to 93. Did it take out that wick low yet? That's at 93.12. We traded down to 93.10. So, but while we were trading above 95 this morning, that's what I was looking for, that wick to be taken out, and then for us to trade back up. Still looking for that. Again, we could trade down as low as 91. I don't think we'll get lower than the 92 area, but let's watch it and see what happens. I expect we see some buying coming down here right now. If we break the 91 though, then we're looking down much lower, possibly towards 8,400, which would be a phenomenal buying opportunity. Not that right now is not. They both are. Euro is still having trouble breaking above that resistance, Martine. I think it's kind of like that coiled spring, that beach ball. If it does break above, there's a good possibility we see a pop. Notice that gold is not really moving on this news today. It's still consolidating. Yeah, it's up, no doubt about it. But this is all consolidating now, in my opinion. Maybe if things escalate and maybe if the market comes off, that's not the case. But it seems to me that we're going through a period of consolidating right now. I would say the yen right now at these low levels is more neutral. We're more playing on that dollar weakness. Right now, the euro is trying to take out the high from yesterday, which was in at 0.872. And love that you're noticing the conditions around you, Coco, and trading accordingly to it. Solid stuff. I didn't take a look at the US dollar Swiss franc though. Let's take a look at that as you pointed it out. Yeah, you have that dollar weakness, and this is kind of neutral right here, right now. Interesting. Euro's still having trouble. If it can't break above and is rejected, we have to take that into account. But there's pressure on the DXY. Equities down 1% across the board. Let's take a look at the dailies to get a feel for that. Oof. Let's see. Interesting that gold is not tracking that as well then. It is trading at 1650, however. This is that what I've talked about before. When the dollar's down, you see a gain versus the peso. Strange dynamics that I don't fully understand. But it looks like after fake break above this trend line coming into the nearest support, it's looking to take another possibility at another breakout. And what else? Nice day. Nice day. Here we go. It looks like the euro is trying to break out yesterday's high. Let's see if it pops or not. And then you can see also the yen trying to attack down towards the lows as well. The pound must be smoking. Not so much. Martin and Coco. Euro can't do it yet. Can't do it. I think there's actually when I was growing up, obviously Mr. Rogers, everyone thought Mr. Rogers, right? But there's an iTunes movie out on him that I didn't want to see. It turns out he was a really good guy. I had no idea that Mr. Rogers was such a good guy, but he's a really good guy. Martine, have a beautiful day. I'm thinking the same. Gold coming down a little bit during this. It's good, 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 good. The lower the gold, the better, because I want more of it. No follow through though. I don't see follow through here yet on the euro. There we go. The yen also pushing down towards the lows of the days on this at the same exact time. Pull it up. Oh, I need to keep that chart open. This is just some work that I'm doing. So I won't get into it yet. This should be on the 4-hour though. Finally, the euro able to break towards new highs. I think the next stop might be around 1.89 or the whole number. At least. MHB, Bitcoin's bouncing a tiny bit. I like that. She gets back above, there might be some power in her step. So we'll see. Watch to the downside. The downside again, 92 should hold. If 91 breaks, we're coming down, probably down towards 84, 85. Let's also check out the not only Bitcoin, but the US dollar, Japanese yen, as this dollar weakness is persisting. Nice. Getting those back on the Aussie pairs. Doug Casey, so he was a big influence on Jeff of the Dollar Villajanti. It's not coming out right. and and that was someone that I enjoyed listening to, and definitely, um, knowing that he was influenced by Doug Casey. And there was also Trace Mayer, is someone who was promoting Bitcoin since it was 25 cents. And it was actually the person that introduced Jeff to Bitcoin at Doug Casey's ranch down in Chile. But I have not personally listened to much of any of Doug's content ever. I'm not familiar with any of it, only people he's influenced. Um, but or maybe I read one article he wrote, and I think he was from a long time ago. He was calling for like the death of the dollar since like I don't know if it was the 80s. Um, but I don't know. But he seems to have had a big libertarian who's had a big impact on a lot of people that I've definitely enjoyed learning from. Just because you typed it doesn't mean I can pronounce it. Vigilante. I since I was little, I just have a problem sounding out words. I had to learn uh, to read by memorization. So, fun fact: I was actually in seminary studying for the Catholic priesthood, and I was always so worried about when I would have to do readings for the Old Testament, because so many words that I'm not familiar with, and sounding them out is just an impossible task for me. I loved reading all the things that he shared. Say, I want to check in. Speaking of MHP, the Australian dollar it's still quite suppressed, right? You could see that it's not even come close to taking out yesterday's high yet. So the dollar weakness we're seeing on the DXY is definitely being priced in from the euro, as when we saw that happening to the upside. I wish I had the correct index to check out a more evenly weighted dollar index. So I have to look into that if they have it on TradingView even. All right, everyone. I really enjoyed this session with all of you. It was a good one, and every day I definitely enjoy it more and more. So I wish you all have a awesome day, and I look forward to sharing more with you tomorrow.